You're watching In Search of Wellness, a programme from New NHS Alliance and ITM Productions, and I'm delighted to say that its chair, Heather Henry, joins me now. Very nice to meet you, Heather. Thank you for coming in and talking to me. Do you feel that healthcare providers are finally getting it, that the power is with the people and within the community?
Yes, I think they are beginning to. For my own journey, I started as a traditional NHS nurse. I went on to NHS management, and then I discovered that when you work in equal partnership with people, then you can get quite marked solutions. I think that idea is getting out there now, but you've got to realise that we're working with a very traditional biomedical model. That's how I was trained. I was trained around doctors, drugs and kit. Okay, and now we're getting to the stage where we're having social prescribing and we're following a very sort of traditional curve of change. Early adopters, quite a lot of those, and there'll always be those that take a long time to sort of get the idea that people are our partners.
So the message is definitely getting out there. Can you elaborate a little bit more about how you work in partnerships? I'm guessing that's with schools and people just in the community.
I really like it when Duncan Selby, who's the Chief Executive of Public Health England, talks about to be well you need three things. You need someone to love, somewhere to live, and something meaningful to do. Now what that does is it brings in things like housing, it brings in employment, and it brings in the importance of families and communities. And we interpret that at NHS Alliance as 3 C's. Control over the circumstances of your own life, meaningful social contact, and confidence. You'll know that from your own life, that if you don't have those 3 things, then quite often you feel out of control. And when you're out of control, you feel very stressed, and that has a major impact on your life.
Can you outline then the Alliance's goals going forward and the main challenges that you face, particularly then over the next 12 months?
So one of the difficulties is understanding the causes of wellness as opposed to the causes, management and treatment of illness. And we've already got some great examples, like I've said, in terms of people-powered change and the system working in partnership with local people. But actually, the how-tos are really quite tricky. And so we think that we would like to develop a wellness programme that people can join. And in particular, we want to introduce a human library. We don't want to be developing documents and strategies. We think it's really important that you act yourself into a new way of thinking, rather than think yourself into a new way of acting. And how that's done is quite often by somebody who's been there before you, that's in the same situation as you, being with you and saying, you know, you can do it. We want to create ambassadors for health creation. And these will be within different sectors and at different levels, community, senior management, middle management, practitioners who are able to advocate, because this is a social movement for change. That's how we see it.
Sounds like you're being extremely constructive going forward, but nevertheless, let's talk about the challenges. Okay. Because Brexit, leaving the EU, is around the corner, and no doubt that will have an impact on healthcare professionals such as yourself.
Yes, there are 3 aspects, I think, to Brexit. It's certainly an enormous challenge. There's actually the benefits of being part of a larger union when it comes to legislation, things like the European Working Time Directive. There's the work we do in research, which quite often is situated in Britain, but works across the economy, and we have to think about that. But by far the greatest challenge is in the workforce. And if we take, for example, the nursing workforce, we know from the Royal College of Nursing statistics that there is now a 40,000 nurse shortage in this country, much larger than it has been over the past few years. We know, for example, that there has been a reduction of 180% in the number of nurses from the EEA over July last year to July this year. That's an enormous reduction. So the Royal College of Nursing, for example, is saying that we need a transitional period of 4 years where actually we are able to keep nurses, for example, on the protected list. I know that there are shortages in the therapies, and there's of course shortages in general practitioners. So keeping people on the shortage list so that they're able to stay in this country is really very important. And then thinking about how we sort out our own workforce. So I know from looking at a recent report from the Health Foundation, for example, we know that there's a lack of workforce planning in this country, and that we need to sort out the various different types of workforce that we have to be able to create a career structure for people and to actually address the issues of recruitment, retention and return. Certainly, we need to think about pay restraint and the difficulties that has caused with recruitment and retention. And we would think that we need to scrap the gap and that we need proper pay for people in the NHS.
Well, we wish you luck with all of those challenges ahead, with some pretty serious consequences if they're not sorted out. Heather, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.